Hi there, I'm Ashley Pesic with the Opiate Free Island Partnership. Probably most of you know me from the community, but I'm also a licensed clinical social worker and the program director for the Opiate Free Island Partnership. Today we're going to talk to Lynne Witham, and she's a professional in our community, but she's here today to share the personal experience of addiction. She's going to talk about what it means to be a family member of a loved one who is in addiction and the impact on being an affected other, and what resources might be available to help people who are struggling with the addiction of a loved one.
I actually moved to the island in 1982 when my daughter was 2 years old, and my brother-in-law had taken a teaching job down here. And I came down and stayed with them, and I loved the island, and I ended up buying a house jointly with them at the time. And so, and then later I got married and had my own home, but I raised my daughter here, and I lived here for nearly 25 years. I've been working for the school districts down here full-time for 4 years now. I lost my younger sister, Debbie, to overdose of opioid medications in 2012. Debbie was fun. She laughed a lot. She was a very emotional person. She was in a car accident, and they prescribed opioids for her. And then it was just a downward spiral from there. She increased her use of them. I remember I stopped in one time to pick her up we had a date to go somewhere, and she was still in bed, and I took a lot to shake her and wake her up. And it was scary, and we all kind of knew like where this was going. All these prescriptions came from her primary care physician, and he just kept upping and upping the number of prescriptions and the size of them that he would give her. And at one point we tried contacting him and saying, like, this is a problem. And I know he knew it was a problem because at one point he switched medications to methadone. He knew it was dangerous, but then she didn't like the methadone, and she could be a very forceful personality too, I have to say. And then she just kept getting more and more. And so trying to think that, well, this thing that makes me feel so much better and keeps me from having pain is bad for me. And it's, my doctor says it's fine. It's really hard. So by the time she passed away, I got a phone call saying that Debbie was dead, and her son had found her in the morning. The state trooper came, and when we counted, he had us help count the pills that were left in her bottles, and the prescriptions had just been filled the day before. And she had 12 different bottles of pills at that point when she passed. To the kids, it felt like she was making a choice that wasn't them. And to the rest of us, like, we lost our youngest sibling, like she was the baby of the family, and I was racked with guilt for years, thinking there should have been some way that I could have saved her. I mean, the first thing, of course, is an naloxone, because if that had been available in the training, like, Debbie's son was old enough to have been trained in that and to been able to say, here's what you do, and you do this, and you call 911. But at the time, it wasn't even something, and Debbie didn't want us talking about it, but it wasn't something that you openly discussed and trained for. Like, there was so much stigma around it and avoidance of the topic. And the support groups that are available now for families and friends, like, that would have been really helpful. We just felt like there was nothing out there to help us help her. And now there's so many things, and there's fentanyl test strips available, and there's the needle exchange. Like, there's a lot of ways that we're working now for harm reduction and trying to keep people safe and alive. Get support, get the tools and the training that you can, and try to have an honest conversation with them. I think that I still regret not doing that more with my sister. Like, there were a few times I tried, but my sister, frankly, she could have quite a temper. And so she was so resistant to hear anything about our use that I felt like it would just push her the other way. I don't know. I mean, I'll never know. And that's what it is. But there's so many other resources out there now, and there's all sorts of resources to help get people into recovery. and to support them while they're in recovery. And just, there is help, and all you have to do is reach out and ask for it. And there's much better chances for a positive outcome as opposed to 8 years ago. If we can get to students to have them understand what substance use is all about and what your own predilection to addiction might be, and what the real consequences are of it, and in a harm reduction kind of way, because that's usually what works the best. I think that's the only way we're going to save future generations.